Hey guys, welcome back to the Faithful Farmer Mama. I thought I would give you an update on all of our gardens here in the early summer. If you're new here, you probably don't know that I am a huge gardener, but for those of you who have been here for a while, you know that I have lots of gardens all over the place. I've got some back here, I've got some next to me, I have more back here, a new one, I have more here, I have some orchards up front, and then I also have some on the other side of the house. So I definitely have gardens going here on the farm that we use for all of our food for the winter time. I try to preserve as much of it as I can so that we don't have to constantly run back and forth to the grocery store. So again, if you're new here, please go down below, find the subscribe button along with the little bell. This way you'll be able to keep up on everything that's happening here on the farm along with our gardens. I garden 12 months out of the year. I always have something growing, whether it is flowers or food or like the fruits that we've got going down there. Right now the garden is at its peak and I am already starting to harvest things like cucumbers and pumpkins and tomatoes, corn, zinnias and gladiolas and lots of other kinds of flowers. I don't want to go through all of them, lavender included. But I also have new things coming up like beans. This year, we are about a month behind in our weather. Normally in central Oklahoma where we are located, our rainy season are like the last 2 or 3 weeks of May. We are right now, by the time you see this, it'll be beginning of July, but the last 2 weeks of June, we have had nothing but rain. Lots and lots and lots of rain. So much that our pond is totally full and all of my beds are just exploding because of all of the rain. Even the wild things like sand plums and wild blackberries. But things are still a little bit further behind. So here where I was normally harvesting blackberries already for about 2 weeks, I am just now starting to be able to harvest. Tomatoes this time of year, last year, I was already making spaghetti sauce for next year. I have no tomatoes. I've gotten one tomato and it was on the plant when I bought it. So I don't even know that I can count that one. But I wanted to give you an update on all of our beds and allow you to see what is happening here the first week of July. So this summer, one of the things I did want to do was to start what I consider like a cottage garden. I have a lot of just flowers that are just kind of placed here and there. And here I've added some new ones, things like lantana, which is finally starting to bloom. But yet I still have other things like oregano, rosemary. I do like to place vegetables and herbs in my flower beds. Like here in the lavender beds, I have lavender, but I also have rosemary growing, excuse the pole. I have rosemary growing here. I have snapdragons hiding in the back. But this here, this is ginger. And then of course, peppers. I have peppers strategically placed throughout the garden this year. Last year, if you watch back on some of the videos, I will put a card up above if I can find the video of our peppers. But I had such a hard time with our peppers last year, guys. If you remember, I had wood fall on top of them, a whole pile of wood, and then we had a horrible storm that knocked all of them down. So I really did not have a lot of peppers. But this year, I decided to put them everywhere so I wouldn't lose all of my peppers. And I've done the same with tomatoes. I actually have tomatoes everywhere. This poor little guy right here, he needs to actually be staked up. However, it is doing wonderful in this southern corner next to my sorrel and next to my basil. I've also planted my peppers in these containers. Now, as much as I would love to get some green stalks, I cannot afford those. I am on a very limited income and I just cannot afford to buy them. So I did find these at Aldi. I've had them for about 2 years. I do see that they are starting to deteriorate in the weather, as right there, but I only paid $23 for 3, which was a blessing because it's all I could afford. They do stack. However, I find that when they stack here, they just get so dry so fast. That is why I have them on the ground spread out. But here I have all kinds of peppers like early jalapenos. I have California Grand jalapenos. I do have some basil. And then I even have some cayenne and some spicy jalapenos as well. Now I'm going to warn you, the cut flower garden needs a lot of help. It did really well last year, and it's done really well this year. However, the grass has taken over, and my goal is to actually take stone pavers or bricks, which I've been collecting from places on Facebook Marketplace for free, and do a walkway throughout this. However, it needs a lot of attention, so please excuse all of the grass that you might see, but watch the vegetables because they are surprisingly doing wonderful. As you can see, the grass is really trying to invade this space. And I get it. The grass wants good soil to grow in, and there is good soil here in this bed, but it needs so much work. Now this year we started a new bean garden, and we used the cardboard method where you place cardboard on top thickly, and then your topsoil and things on top, and then you plant your vegetables and stuff in there. My goal is to do that next year on this bed or in the fall. But for now, we are just maintaining the grass as much as we can, and we're watching everything just grow. My zinnia garden is starting to take off. The grass is also growing there as well. But in a few weeks, this should be a beautiful, flowery, colorful jumble of gorgeousness. I do kind of chuckle though, because some of my zinnias thought it would be fun to grow out here. Now right off to the left of the cut flower garden, we decided to put our bean patch. I'm going to actually put fencing around this because I am concerned that bunnies are going to come in here and try and steal everything I have. But this beautiful bed has been planted probably about a week ago. It was tilled, and then we added topsoil, and then we added manure, and then we added compost, and then I added some just topsoil I got from, or bagged soil, garden soil from Lowe's or Atwoods or one of those local ranch places. But my beans are thriving, and I'm so very excited to see them. Cowpeas, lima beans, jade beans, purple teepee beans, and lots of green beans. I did plant zucchini and squash in our large lined tire beds. They're not doing the greatest this year. Last year I had them in the cut flower garden. I may actually decide not to do that next year, but for now this is plenty for us, and I'm just watching them. They've got a little bit of rot on them, and they were infested a little bit with aphids, which I've taken care of, but they still are struggling a little bit. And then in the other two tire lined beds, I planted corn this year. You can see one off to the left. Well, it might be your right because things tend to be backwards when I'm filming. But this one here, it was actually hit in that really big storm where we lost a lot of things. We had 73-mile-an-hour winds, and a lot of things were destroyed here on the farm, trees down and such. And all of this corn was actually laying down. So I went down and actually pulled it up and put dirt behind it, trying to help it. You can actually see here's one that I missed. If you notice, it is kind of laying back here. They were all like that, and all I did was pull them up and just pull some dirt up behind them to kind of give them a wall to sit on, and then they've grown straight. I'm just now starting to see stalks on them, so I am hoping that soon we will have some corn here to show. Now in this one, I had two different types of corn. I had the corn that you just saw over there, which is the smaller corn down here. But then I had this other corn here, and I didn't have very good luck with it last year, but I spy tops of corn. I cannot wait to see if we get any corn to harvest this year. Here in the potato beds, we actually have a lot of things going on. Potatoes are dying back. We have beautiful sunflowers growing. Lots of squash, which this is a flat white patty pan squash, as you see right there. This one's got some flowers on there. Some more potatoes. I have a tomato in this bed trying to grow it here, broccoli, and lots of pumpkins, gourds, cucumbers, honeydew melon, cantaloupe, growing all like crazy here. I cannot be more excited about everything happening in this bed right here. And then lastly, we have our raised beds. And in our raised beds, these fluctuate all the time. Here I had cilantro. It finally died out. I planted some tomatoes, sweet potatoes, regular potatoes. These will be harvested in September. Spinach. I have a squash growing, butternut squash growing, a tomato, kale, lots of kale, broccoli. My cabbage has a very late start this year. Cabbages, last year they were already harvested and done. This year, they're just getting started. My carrots are just about through. And in this bed here, we have kohlrabi. Leeks are being harvested and given to our goats. It is a natural dewormer, so I do give them a couple here and there every now and then. Lots of herbs. I have lots of basil growing in this bed, sage, dill, marjoram. So lots going on, broccoli, kale, rosemary. I just recently harvested and canned beets. If you don't follow my Instagram account, you might want to head on over there. I'll try and put the link down below in the description box, because I will actually preserve things and place those images and also instructions on my Instagram account. But the beets, I have a couple that they did not look ready, and they're still growing new leaves, so I decided to just leave them and see what they're going to do. And of course, more peppers. This year I've placed peppers in 4 different spots here on the farm. I wanted to make sure that we had peppers, especially jalapenos. We had no jalapenos last year, just lots of habaneros, and they actually didn't get eaten because we really don't like habaneros. They are the only things that grew. So as you can see, our gardens are just flowing with so much and still growing and still doing things that I thought would be done by now. Like, for example, cabbage. Can't believe I still have cabbage, but it's been very cool here, which is not the norm. We're usually in the 90s and 100s this time of year, and it's way cooler than it normally is. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Join me next time when we do a little bit of thrifting, antiquing, repurposing, fixing. That will be my next video, and hopefully that'll be ready for you next week. Bye guys, thanks for being here.